Great. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining the New York Charter School Association's statewide webinar. I am not Yomika Bennett. I am Janique Curry, and I am the Buffalo Community Engagement Manager for the Charter School Association. And today we're joined by Janet Klein, Associate in Education Research in the Charter Schools Office at SED, Susie Corrello, Executive Director of the SUNY Charter Schools Institute, Aaron Cochran, Deputy Executive Director, Policy and Operations at the New York City DOE, and Corey Callahan, General Counsel and VP of Legal Policy at the New York City Charter School Center. So welcome back to our monthly statewide webinar, and thank you for joining us here in April, because we have many of our schools who are getting ready to go on a well-deserving spring break, and we know Buffalo is on spring break right now as well. We're going to begin today with some updates from the association and then our partners, followed by Q&A. And after the Q&A, we have a special presentation that we want to present to you. So, budget updates. The $220 billion budget was passed by the legislature on Friday, and there are some items that are directly impacting or of interest to charters, including the final budget. The budget does include $31 billion for school aid. That's a $2.1 billion increase over last year. $1.6 billion of the increase is due to an increase in foundation aid. There was no change to the charter tuition formula. Charter tuition amounts will increase slightly due to the increases in operating expenses spending by our school districts. Our tuition calculator has the projected rates for 22-23. And you can check out the rates for your students' districts at the link that we're going to drop in the chat. Just an important note that as we're fighting for school aid increases, we're fighting to maintain the increase to the charter tuition formula. And that's important because the increases in district spending drive increases in the charter tuition amounts. $100 million is in the budget, and that is to continue the state's commitment to support the New York City Charter School Rental Reimbursement Program. The money for that will reimburse the city for a portion of the rental payments made to charter schools. The budget does not include an increase in the number of charters available in New York City. The existing charter cap remains in place, and the zombie charters were not revived in the budget. And for those of you who may need some clarification on the zombie charters, those are, that's a familiar term of endearment, that charters that were issued and returned but are not allowed to be reissued. Fixing this flaw in the law to allow those charters to be reissued would release charters for use in New York City. The provision to allow teachers and other school professionals to receive temporary certification while SED makes a determination on their application was included in the final budget. SED will be required to issue the temporary permit within 5 days of receiving all of the necessary documentation. The temporary certificate would be valid for up to 1 year, and the individual would have to work under the supervision of a certified professional. In addition, professionals working under an expired certification would be allowed to continue working in a school until June 30, 2024. Video conferencing was authorized throughout 2024 in the state budget with some important changes. The law requires that at least one physical location for a meeting at which a member of the public body participates. A quorum of members must be present in the same location or locations where the public can attend. Members must be physically present unless a member is unable to due to extraordinary circumstances, including disability, illness, caregiving responsibilities, or any other significant or unexpected factor or an event which precludes that member's physical attendance at such meeting. The law does not specify beyond the quoted text of what I just described in terms of what those extraordinary circumstances are. If you have any questions about that, I would suggest that you reach out to your attorneys or to reach out to the New York State Committee on Open Government to answer any questions that you may have about that. The body of that public body must adopt a resolution and have written procedures for video conferencing. The body must post the video on its official website within 5 business days and for 5 years. The public must also be able to review and comment in real time. The meeting notice must note that the video conference will be provided where the public can view or participate. The meeting minutes must be posted on the website and note which members attended via video conference and post the video on its official website within 5 days. The law is effective immediately and will expire on July 1st, 2024. As an additional 25-cent state subsidy, for school lunch, if at least 30% of the cost of the food products coming from New York State farmers, growers, producers, and processing in the prior school year. School food authorities must apply to the Department of Ag and Markets for the additional subsidy of the 25 cents. As of July 1st, 2027, all school buses purchased or leased must be at a 0 emission for school buses. Retired professionals may be employed by a school district or BOCES without impacting their retirement income limitations imposed by state law. This law does not apply to charter schools as it is not limited to teachers. The flexibility in hiring is on our list of potential advocacy for schools. Please let us know if this would be a high priority for you and your schools. JCOPE, or the state's current ethics authority, will be replaced by the Commission on Ethics and Lobbying in Government, with new disclosures, enforcement, and training requirements. Mayoral control for New York City was not included in the budget. It, along with other significant policy issues, will likely be taken up in late May or in early June at the end of this year's legislative session. A $50 million social equity fund is established to provide funding to members of disadvantaged communities who want to open cannabis retail establishments. The association will continue to advocate for the state to establish the Education Equity Fund to support members of historically disadvantaged communities to start schools. Finally, there is a $2 billion pot of discretionary funding that the governor, Senate, and Assembly will decide on how to spend. The discussions and negotiations on a spending plan will continue through the rest of the session. Between now and then, the Charter School Association and our other charter advocates will be hard working to continue efforts to advance charter priorities, including funding increases, zombie charters, and charter school access to programs intended for public schools. We've had many meetings and engagements with legislators, including 2 mini lobby days at the Capitol in Albany that we just had this past March. We're not going to let up on the pressure. On April 30th, the association will kick off our Stand Up for Ed Equity statewide tour in the Bronx. We will raise awareness on this issue, on the issues of education inequity, and showcase excellence among educators, students, and alumni. So we are looking for people to turn out and participate either on the stage or in the audience to be seen, to be heard, and to make an impact. So if you know of anyone in your school community, including yourselves who are on this call, who should speak, perform, or otherwise share their talents and excellence, please email Yomika, and we're dropping her email in the chat. On May 17th, we will be in Albany for the last stop of the tour, just in time to make a final push for charter advocacy before session ends. Please mark your calendars and join us at the Capitol to fight for equity and urge our lawmakers to support quality public schools. We look forward to your support and the support of your school and your communities. Spread the word about the Stand Up for Equity Ed Equity Tour and look out for more information. Come out to join us at the tour stops near your city and join us in the fight for education equity, which includes fair treatment and funding for charter schools. For more information on the tour, we're dropping a link to the flyer in the chat, and we'll hope you will be able to share that with all your charter stakeholders. Okay, so the association is proud to announce that we are going to be holding our New York Charter Schools Conference here in Buffalo. Super excited to have you guys here, October 19th through the 21st. So in addition to saving the date for this event, we are very excited to be launching our earliest decision call for presenters. We are looking for school-based content that emphasizes and elevates the innovative work that you are doing to transform education and the lives of your students. We encourage participation and presentation from a variety of school staff members and roles, so please share this opportunity with your colleagues. This is a great opportunity for you to spotlight your school and your staff. The association can assist in the planning and facilitation of these sessions, but we ask for proposals to be submitted to the presentation submission form that we're dropping in the chat no later than the early decision deadline of May 17th. Questions about presenting at the conference should be directed to our Director of School Support, Michael Good, and you can email him at mgood@nycharters.net, and I'm sure he's going to drop that in the chat. Our working groups. We will be hosting a couple of working group meetings over the next few weeks for a couple of charter school audiences. Our data working group will meet on April 26th at 10 a.m. And we'll be discussing best practices for building a data culture at your school. Our board member working group will also meet that week on April 28th at 4 p.m. Registration for those meetings will be dropped into the chat. Our parent council. The New York State Charter Parent Council will host its May meeting on Wednesday, May 11th at 6 p.m. Please share the flyer that we're dropping in the chat with your school communities, inviting them to the meeting and to join the parent council so that they can join the fight for school choice and high quality schools. And so with that being said, I am all done with our association updates, and I'm going to turn it over to Janet, Susan, Corey, and Aaron for any other updates that they would like to share. Susie or Janet?
I was waiting for Janet since her name was first in the list. Janet, you're going to take it away? Okay, I'm going to move it along. Hi, everybody. Great to see you. Just a few updates from the Mighty Mighty Institute team. One that I find to be the most important one is I know that it's spring and then it's summer or end of school year, and there are many celebrations and events happening at your schools. This is a plea again. Please let us know. We'd love to be able to try to work those into our schedules. So we are thrilled to see invitations in our inbox. So let us know when you have good celebrations going on this spring. We'd love to attend and support you. Another important update is the state stimulus fund grant applications are due to the Institute on April 20th. I believe everybody knows this, but it is a smaller pot of money that we have to provide grants to all charters. This is for all charters in the state of New York. It's a reimbursement grant for expenses associated with the acquisition, renovation, construction, or financing of charter school facilities that are not located in public space. So the applications for this particular reimbursement grant are due at 3 p.m. On April 20th, and Catherine Connell-Espinosa, our Chief of Staff at the Institute, just dropped a link to the RFP in the chat. So thank you, Catherine. I appreciate that. Another reminder about applications and admissions summaries due to us by May 2nd. The template's on our website. If you can't find it, pick up the phone, send us an email, and we'll send you the direct link. Also, there's a facilities reporting questionnaire that we've asked the schools to complete by the 15th. They're due in Epicenter. We really super appreciate it. We try to streamline based on those questionnaires the information that you are required to submit either through compliance or state statute requirements. And finally, if you're a school that's looking to have a material revision request for the 2022-2023 school year, we need to get those organized. And if any of them need to go in front of the committee, that's got to happen on our June meeting. And so if you can let us know, please, the information about any material revisions by May 5th, 2022, that helps not only us, but it also helps any of the other authorizers or bodies that have to hold hearings associated with those revisions. And so we can get it streamlined, get everything done, so that you're good to go for the 2022-2023 school year. And as always, if you've got questions about that, please reach out to Carrie G at the State University. Her email's on our website, but it's carrie.g@suny.edu. Catherine's also helped me out by putting that in the chat. And Carrie will be happy to answer any questions. And with that, if you're on spring break now or you're going on spring break soon, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time. That's it from SUNY.
Let's circle back to Janet for any SED updates, and then we'll move on to Aaron and Corey.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Nice to see everyone. And I apologize. I'm having a little bit of a windy day in Schenectady, and my internet connectivity is having some serious issues, and it keeps booting me out. So quickly, I was asked to address the Board of Regents New Schools RFP and to assure everyone that it will be coming in the next few weeks. And the other thing that we're working on right now is with the Office of Information Reporting Services, we are trying to get everyone to get their staff reports in on time. Most of them are due in level 2 by April 29th. However, they need to get into level 0 and move to 1 prior to that. So if you're a New York City charter school, you should be speaking to Eastern Suffolk BOCES. And if you are in the rest of the state, you should be speaking with your RIC. If these reports do not get in a timely manner, your school report cards that are publicly available at data.nysa.gov will be impacted because there will be no staff information whatsoever there. And the reports that we SED are required to file with the US DOE will not include your school's information. And we don't want that to happen. So we're working very hard to support you in the reporting endeavor. And that is all I have, unless there's any questions.
All right, great. Thanks, Janet. And now let's turn it, Erin, you turned yourself on, so there you go.
I'm ready. All right, so a couple quick updates on our authorizing side. So we are in the process of confirming our ACR visits with a large portion of our schools. So we're very, very excited to come to your schools and see all of the great stuff that you're doing on the ground. So look more from Lori there if you have not yet heard from her. That is my authorizing update. Now, my full New York City update. So a couple of very, very urgent updates, and we have been messaging this in the Charter Schools Weekly, and we want to make sure that no one misses this. So the first one is that our summer school and fall surveys are due May 4th. These are the surveys on the summer school side that will allow us to, if you are doing your own summer school, to configure your school correctly for summer and ATS so that you can make sure your students get Metro cards or busing if they are eligible. And that is a really, really critical deadline, because after that date, if you communicate to us beyond that you will be doing summer school, we may not be able to implement you in ATS in time to ensure that those services are set up on time. So we want to make sure that folks are very, very aware of that deadline. And then similarly for the fall survey, also due May 4th, may the 4th be with you. we want to make sure that you're getting that in on time as well. That is a lengthy survey. You can save it and come back to it, but that asks really critical information related to your related services needs and things like that that will inform conversations happening later that month. The other important date that I want to make the entire sector aware of is June 1st. That is the deadline to apply to OPT for a new site. So if it's a DBN and site that have not existed before together in combination, that needs an application in by June 1st. A full OPT application includes a certificate of occupancy or temporary certificate of occupancy that would let you operate in the building. We are already hearing from a number of schools that their sites will not be ready by June 1st. So we just want to message that it is vital that you submit that application, even if your certificate of occupancy or TCO is not available yet. Submit it by June 1st and let us know immediately so that we can already start those conversations with OPT to see what flexibilities there are to work with you while you're waiting for your certificate of occupancy. Those are my updates. Corey?
Thanks, Erin. So just so folks know, because we will be off next week, New York City DOE and a lot of the New York City charter schools are closed. We are canceling the DOE DOH call. So folks should look for the invite. It will be for May 6th, so after 2 weeks from next Friday. I know there are a couple of outstanding issues, particularly for charters in co-located space, looking for that guidance from the DOE in terms of graduation and proms, how to do events. We still don't have any updates, but we will. As soon as we get it, we will make sure you have it. And then, as I think Erin, might have mentioned, if not, the testing kits, everyone should have gotten the spring break testing kits for COVID if you were using the, to use with your students when they come back. And that is all I have from my end. And Erin, I'll just ask you, there was a question about when will the DOE calendar come out? And I know that is always a favorite of this time of year.
Yes, so we are confirming the timeline for that and we will definitely share as soon as it's available.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Erin. So at this point, I would like to ask if there are any other questions. I did not leave time after I finished my update about any of the things that we had in the update in regards to the budget, if anyone has any questions about that or the conference in Buffalo. So if anybody has any questions. I do see one question in the chat. Can you apply for state stimulus funding if you receive money for facility funding from the New York City DOE?
So it's intended for schools that don't get facilities reimbursement or have co-located space.
Eugene, does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any other questions? Okay, Mike, I'll turn it back over to you.
Well, thank you, Janique, for stepping in to do all of our association updates, our big budget update, and thank you to all of our presenters for giving us your April updates. I know this is a very busy time for schools. April's always a busy month with state testing, all the planning you're doing for next year. So I do appreciate everyone joining us for this call. But with that, we're going to go ahead and just thank you all for joining us today. While we typically have a second half presentation on these webinars, and we were excited to share a special announcement with you all today, the release of that information that we had hoped to share was rescheduled. So we just asked you to be on the lookout for some exciting news early next week. Keep your email inbox top of mind, even if you're taking a well-deserved break for some of this important information. As always, we will post today's recording in the Resource Center on our website. Please reach out to us if you have any questions about the topics discussed or are interested in having your school present at one of our monthly webinars. Monthly webinars are made possible through the contribution and commitment of our member schools. We appreciate the ability to host these forums for the full New York charter school community. If you are not a member of the association, we encourage you to join today by emailing membership@nycharters.net. And we thank you all for joining. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. Have a wonderful rest of your night.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.